This is Newport, Rhode Island. And for today's coverage of men's pro beach volleyball here on Prime Ticket, Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, Bill McDonald with you. And our championship final coming up, Brent Frohoff, Karch Karai. They are undefeated going against St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos with 1 loss. Karch Karai returning to the beach where he learned how to play volleyball, taught by his father. Started when he was 6 years old, and he's grown up to be a powerful competitor. 6'3", 200, now 28. Lives in San Clemente, California. Went to UCLA. And his partner, Brent Frohoff, 6'3", also a little slender, a little more slightly built in Karch. He's 26 from Hermosa Beach. Always wearing the familiar upturned visor and the sunglasses.
Chris Marlowe, captain of the 84
Brent Frohoff.
Team, and a former teammate of his, Paul Sunderland.
And they're going up against St. John Smith, who really needs no introduction. If you know anything about beach volleyball, you know that St. John Smith has won more money, more tournaments, more times than anyone. Now 32, 6'3", 190, Pacific Palisades, also from UCLA. And Randy Stoklos is also an ex-Bruin, 28. He is powerfully built at 215. That might be a little light. He might be 220 or 225, the king of the Kong. And he's going with the catcher look today, Paul. Hat turned backwards. And he will be doing most of the setting on his team. Had a pretty good semifinal. 7 kills, 2 digs, and 2 blocks. But it might be his setting that really did it. Our first referee today, Ed Winchester, who has been reffing a number of these matches today and doing a fine job. And his assistant, Verna Klubnikin, very good indoor referee who's making the transition to the beach.
Settle into your chairs.
There's Verna.
For our competitors.
So Winchester and Klubnikin are the officials, and here we go. Smith and Stoklos have to win 1 game to 15, and then if they do, in the double elimination format, they must win a game to 7. We have not had one all summer, but Paul Sunderland, you seem to think something might happen like that.
Well, obviously Karch was listening. He's saying, Paul, you're out of your mind. We're going straight through, win this game, win this final, and take home first prize money. What a great start here. St. John going up, and who knows his cross-court shot better than Karch Karai. See how far Karch reaches into the cross-court, stuff the ball down.
Karai and Smith used to play together on the beach. They won 2 world championships together, so they know each other very well. Stoklos, once again, the wind a big factor. The flags are flopping, the windsurfers are going crazy. And hold on to your hats here in Rhode Island. This is a big factor in this particular game.
Well, still blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour, and it affects every facet of the game. Jump serving, setting, defense, blocking, all of it. And all 4 of these players jump serving.
Both these teams have very good ball control, which means they pass and set and dig the ball very well. And one of the things you must do in the wind, usually, Paul, is a good general rule, is keep the ball much lower.
Well, the longer the ball is in the air, the more havoc the wind can wreak with that particular play. So you'll see the players, particularly watch St. John Smith, just bumping the ball very low into the wind. Randy Stoklos trying to set the ball lower as well, even though St. John likes a high set.
Perfect set, and Smith goes down the line. St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos. These 2 teams played earlier. Smith and Stoklos losing to Karai and Frohoff 15-9. It was an impressive performance, and one thing that Karai and Frohoff were able to do is block balls at the net. Karai blocking Smith. Ball poked just out of bounds. How have these 2 teams done against each other in 1989?
Fort Myers, Frohoff and Karai won their first championship. This again is when they've only met in the finals. Dallas-Fort Worth, Smith-Stoklos won easily. San Jose, Smith-Stoklos again. And in Santa Cruz, site of Brent Frohoff's first ever victory, Frohoff and Karai win again.
So it's been relatively even, 2-2 in the finals. And the ball sliced out of bounds by Frohoff. So it appears to be shaping up as a battle between Brent Frohoff hitting by Stoklos and St. John Smith having to hit by Karai, and that is a tough task for both those men.
And also the story right now is that Karai and Frohoff have started on the bad side, and even though Karch is a great setter, the ball's drifting towards the net, Frohoff having trouble. Randy Stoklos, again, taking advantage of hitting a cut shot into the wind, just dies. Karai can't react and make a play.
The bad side of the beach in this case is the south side. The good side is the north side. Stoklos is on the north side serving. They're going right at Frohoff.
Nobody. Ready? Come on.
Might have touched the block, so Stoklos has to come over. Nice dig.
There it is. And nobody. Set the ball. Set the ball.
And a nice play by Frohoff and Karai. That's a point saver, Paul.
Well, the ball hit deep up the middle, and it causes instantaneous confusion. Who's going to take the ball first of all? They communicated well. And then Frohoff, who used to play on the left side, gets a quick low set and just makes the best of it. Randy Stoklos with a gator almost getting to the ball. Both teams again jump serving. Brent Frohoff coming over to the left, try to take as much advantage as he can of the wind.
Stoklos bombs it. Great dig by Karai. And trouble. I think that has to go against Karai. He came under the net and took out Stoklos. And Stoklos may be hurt. He is down on his back and he is not moving. That's Karai. Right behind him is Stoklos down on there. Let's hope he's not hurt. Karai came forward with momentum. You're allowed to go under on the beach, but that was quite a takedown. And Randy is hurt. One more look.
This set blows right on top of the net. And Karch lifting his knees there to try to avoid the net. And I think he caught Randy in the stomach, in the leg area. But a big collision between two aircraft carriers. Look at his leg coming underneath. There, oh, dangerous play right there. Karch took Randy's legs right out from underneath him.
See it happen indoors a lot, but you don't see this happen too much on the beach, Paul.
Well, the wind has a lot to do with this. The ball moving 5 extra feet because of the breeze. Very, very difficult to track, and you lose body control.
Frohoff. Oh, sweet block by Stoklos. So he shakes it off, and the teams will change sides. Smith Stoklos leading Karch Karai and Brent Frohoff.
Welcome. Here we are with the legends. Brent Frohoff, Karch Karai, St. John Smith, and Randy Stoklos. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for showing up and making this day happen. Appreciate you guys being here.
It was nice of you to invite us all down here, Skeeter.
So, St. John, take us back to 1989. The popularity, the prize money seemed to be rising. What was the state of the AVP tour in '89?
AVP it was in full swing by that time. We started in '83, and at that point we were basically all on the West Coast, and we started to leave the West Coast and go to different places around the country. First to Florida, and we were selling the sport, educating people, and trying to let people know that we weren't just beach bums, and we were real athletes. And it's funny, whenever we went to the beaches and people saw us play, they were hooked on the sport. It's one thing to tell people about it. It's one thing to see it on TV, which they were able to do at that time. But when they came down to see us actually play, they were absolutely hooked.
Now, what was the attitude of Karch coming on a tour? I mean, he came off the national team. You guys have known him for a long time. Now he's in his first full season. What was the attitude of the tour towards Karch?
For myself, it was trouble. Having Karch come out and compete against us at any time was trouble. It was, I consider Karch one of the best players to ever play the game back then and still to this day. So, we were always looking forward to not only playing against him, but worrying about how well he was in shape and who he was going to pair up with, and how difficult he was going to make our lives.
No, but it was interesting. First of all, there were great teams. I mean, Hav and Dodd and Frohoff, whoever he was playing with, anybody. It was tough competition, but we knew when he came back that something was going to happen. Somebody was going to get bumped out. He could basically have his choice of who he wanted to play with.
The domino effect.
Yeah, definitely. Even back then, you see it today all the time, but back then it was almost worse because there's only one Karch.
Well, the only thing was though, there was St. John and Randy, and there was Hovland and Dodd, and those two teams weren't going to break up. So the domino effect really came below that, and not only were those two teams, that rivalry that they were in so many finals against each other, so many close ones, so many exciting ones. I think that really helped build the sport. The other thing that really helped build it, and St. John mentioned it, it was just that as the sport got outside of California, the guys who were the relentless, absolutely relentless and incredible promoters of the game were St. John, Randy, Hovland, and Dodd. They were the ones who really sold it, and would go out on the Thursday nights and the Friday nights and the Saturday nights. Of course, they didn't have to face some of the teams we do now in the first round on Saturday morning, but They were absolutely relentless and really deserve a huge amount of credit for building the sport to what it is. And then the young guns like a Fro and an Ack coming out in Santa Cruz making a big splash, and all those things put together, and the charisma and the vibe that all these players had, it was really exciting for me to actually join in full time with that group. They're just an amazing group of athletes.
Now, what about the rivalry? Here you are playing with the great Karch Kiraly, and you're playing against Smith and Stokey, one of the greatest teams of all time, if not the greatest. You'd played each other 4 times already in the finals, and it was 2-2. So this is the 5th time. I mean, how about the rivalry with this team right here? How bad do you want to beat them?
Well, the rivalry, it was building, but I didn't get to really play with Karch long enough to really build any sort of
Karch
real,
you, or how did that work?
rivalry. Karch called me and asked me to play, and I said, okay. But every match was a rivalry with these guys. I mean, what tremendous athletes, and to even be able to compete with them and beat them every so often was just fabulous, really.
How old were you when I say that?
26.
26.
So just a puppy.
28, I guess.
I think I was 32. I was the old guy.
And I was 28, too.
Young guns.
Still plenty more action to come from the 1989 Rhode Island final, so stick around.
A lot of locals out to watch their favorite players, players that they may have watched in the Olympics, like Karch Kiraly, or players they may have seen on TV. They're beach idols, St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos. And Karch Kiraly, how well has he done? Well, he has won over 90% of all the games and matches he's ever played in. What a record.
On the beach, in high school, in college, and with the U.S. national team.
Undefeated at Santa Barbara High School and UCLA. 3 out of 4 NCAA championships with the USA team. 2 gold medals, a world championship, and a World Cup. And it's no wonder that Brent Frohoff is a happy man to have Karch Kiraly retired from the USA team.
Well, Brent's made more money already this year, so far this year, than he did all last year. And he and Karch are playing very, very well together. And even when Brent was not playing with Karch the last couple of weeks, you could see the improvement that had come to the game of Brent Frohoff. Doing very well with some other partners.
Excuse me, Kiraly with a dig, and the ball being shot back over. And back into the corner. The good side, obviously, now where Kiraly and Frohoff reside. And the old adage is you better get your points on the good side because you're not going to get many on the other side. Brent Frohoff has improved steadily. You can see the first couple of years didn't make a lot of money. Really blossomed in 1988, made 62. He's already made 64 this year, and he's headed for a big year, over 100,000.
Getting back to the win, Chris, really track the score on the side changes. Brent and Karch were down 4-1, now 4-2. We'll see the differential, how successful they can be when they're on the good side.
Smith hits it out of bounds, and it is very difficult to hit on the side near the ocean. St. John Smith and Karch Kiraly just launched up a nice little float serve. And is it howling? Yes, it is. Right off the water.
Okay, what do you guys remember about that day? From watching it, it looked like it was a beautiful day, but howling winds. Howling winds.
Well, I just want to say this, that in 1989, it was there was a product of the game that was a little bit different than today, and that is that we did not have any stands, really. The wind blew through. That was a factor. And that's what St. John was probably trying to point out.
The good side was a real good side.
Well, not only that, but just even the bad side was sometimes a good side, especially when St. John went to his posture of putting up the sky ball and putting that pressure on the opponents. The ball moved around. It's a little bit different in this day and age, I think, with the stadiums, and that the ball doesn't move as quite as much, and the angles are a little bit different.
Don't go anywhere. The 1989 Rhode Island Open continues after this short timeout.
Smith has this one. Frohoff is up. And nice little cut shot by St. John Smith.
And if you're wondering why Karch is not jump serving, the last thing he wants to do in these conditions is take the pressure off and miss a jump serve. The strategy is just get the ball to St. John or Randy. And the wind is blowing so much it'll take care of the rest.
I'm told one of the big problems with the jump serve in the wind is the toss. So when you're tossing on the good side, the ball blowing all over the place, tough to keep it in bounds. Frohoff through Stoklos, out of bounds. We were talking about Brent Frohoff, how maybe lucky he is to be playing with Karch Karai. He certainly earned it, but when he's played with other partners, he's done well, but not as well as he does with Karch Karai.
Well, clearly Karch is one of the top 4 or 5. They've done well together this year, 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a couple of thirds. Frohoff has played with his old partner Akitabi, who's had some back problems through the years, but you know, Karch takes their team to a different level.
Right, he's gotten at least 1 second with Akitabi, but without Karai, Frohoff has not won, at least this year. Frohoff did win 2 tournaments earlier in his career.
Both with Akitabi.
Right. Happy to say that Scott Akitabi now is back on the circuit. He has been playing the last couple of weeks, and he's been looking pretty good.
No,
Frohoff, and Frohoff hits it down the middle. And Frohoff says, that's enough of that. It's warm enough. I'm taking off the shirt. And much to the delight of the fans gathered here at First Beach. Why is it called First? Because it's the first in a sequence of 3 beaches, first, second, and third. Obviously first south of second. And more southerly than third. And Smith and Stoklos get the ball. Their partnership started in 1981. And you know that St. John Smith played with Karch Karai before that. Randy Stoklos played with Jim Mingus, along with other people. Part of the beach area. The wind's been blowing pretty heavily today, so we don't have the crowd on the beach per se, as you might think, because it's a little chilly, Paul. But the crowd in here at the tournament packed in solid.
Well, complete weather change. I was here all day yesterday, and there was no wind. It was about 20 degrees warmer, and the beach was just packed. And when tournament play ended at about 5 o'clock, all the locals just took over the courts, and I came back from a run at about 6:15, and there were volleyball going on all afternoon after the players had left the beach.
Okay. Dig by Frohoff, chance for a point. Good set. And Smith digs him right back.
Come on now.
Stoklos to Karai, and Karai keeps it in play. Stoklos tried to shoot on 2. Blocked. Smith is there. Big rally, important rally. Karai has it. And the wind making it tough.
Hit it, nobody.
Smith. Dug. Frohoff. He's dug. And Stoklos can't convert. A very, very long rally, Paul.
Well, the action describes itself. This rally had everything: blocking, covering, scrambling, anticipation. Just watch the action. There, Karch with a great read. Most players aren't anticipating quickly enough. Frohoff making a good decision just to keep that ball in play. Randy again going on 2. Probably should have set St. John that ball. Of course, now looking at the result, should have set that ball. That rally had everything.
4-4. Karai and Frohoff answer with 3 straight points on the good side, the north side. They are serving into the wind, and one of the best jump servers on the beach, ready to launch.
Good.
And you see why. Right down the middle. The husband and wife serve. No communication.
You keep saying that. You're single, I'm married, and it's not the husband and wife serve. But it's hard and it's deep into the wind. Very difficult to tell where this ball's coming down. Trajectory, it makes it look like it's going to be out. The ball actually lands 6 feet inside the baseline. You have to come up for a new name for that one, Chris.
4 straight points for Frohoff Karai. Can they make it 5?
Get up.
Karai is there, and he jams it down. So that's another point. So Karai and Frohoff using the old adage of let's get all the points on the good side. And they do.
And right now, they're up by 1 in terms of point differential on the good side. Karch and Brent got all 5 points on the good side to start out the match. St. John and Randy got 4 of 5. So in that neck of the woods, Frohoff Karai have the advantage right now.
Now we're going to take a short break here in Rhode Island. When we come back, we'll have more final action.
Welcome back to AVP Classics. You're watching the 1989 Rhode Island Open. Now move ahead further in the action.
Back, final action. Karai and Frohoff leading by 3, 10-7. Ball hit the line as Randy Stoklos gets another kill. Let's check Randy's kill total. He doesn't get served very much.
Stoklos, with only 5 kills, has only received a couple of serves. And if you're wondering how he's got more kills than serve receives, the others come out of rallies. We're just keeping track to see the tendencies of who is serving whom in the course of this championship game.
Most of the serves going to Frohoff and Smith right now. And down the hatch goes Brent Frohoff. Stoklos sliding in. Brent Frohoff gets another kill. He's getting most of the serves. How's he doing kill-wise?
Brent Frohoff, now with 8, has received 9 serves and has several other swings through the course of rallies. Karch Kirai, having received only 3 serves and has 4 kills, so a good example of how you can have more kills than serve received, just coming out of rallies and off of good defensive plays.
Smith, it's wide. A spiking error for the usually very reliable St. John Smith. He doesn't do that very often. One of the reasons he is a big winner on the beach circuit. You hit the ball, keep it in play is a general rule to young volleyball players. Can't do anything with a hit out of bounds. Now 11-7. Frohoff and Karai up by 4.
There. Fine, no one. No!
Frohoff right there. Chance for another point.
Over.
And Frohoff gets it. Another nice set by Karai. So Frohoff and Karai playing very smoothly, gobbling up the points.
Just outguessing St. John Smith offensively right now. That time Karch backed off. St. John's got to wonder, where is he? Last time he reached line, I hit the ball out of bounds. Twice before, he took my favorite shot, my angle, stuffed me down. St. John in a tough spot right now offensively.
All right, welcome back. 12-7, game number 1. Karch and Fro, you guys are leading. And you're coming through the winners brackets. You guys are sitting very, very pretty here, up 12-7. Your thoughts? Are you cruise control at this point?
3 points away from winning the tournament. And at the time when the greatest team in history, were 114 wins together, that was the hardest time to beat them. I can't tell you how many times I saw them fall down 12-8, 13-7, 14-11. And then they would just start chipping away. And it didn't all come at once. They might get a point. St. John dig a ball, put it away. Randy, then there would be some side outs, and Randy'd stuff block or do his Kong block. But 12-7 is by no means a sure thing, and it never was against that team. That is when they were toughest. When you got to 12 and 13 and 14, you knew that you had to play even better against Smith and Stoklos.
And by the way, you guys had defeated them 15-9 earlier in the tournament. So how in control did you feel, Froey?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we felt pretty in control, but it's always tough to beat a great team like that 2 times in one tournament, that's for sure.
Now, Stokey, you and I talked about when we first saw each other today, the side-out battle. I mean, these games went on forever. It's 12-7, but I feel like, you know, it's been back and forth.
The game was played at a very high level. Really a lot of great ball control. Looking back at it, yes, there were a lot of side outs, and Karch is exactly right. I feel like there was a lot of times that we might have let up earlier on in the match, but when it really got down to it, to the final points, somehow, some way, we had the will not to lose.
Now, were you saying when you watched some of this before that you felt like there were too many side outs, that it got a little boring almost because the teams were playing at such a high side out level?
Well, let me put it this way. I felt like that there were a lot of side outs. I thought that for the game that I see today, that it's probably more exciting because of the way the scoring system happens now. The game was an endurance game.
Yeah.
It really came down to us being who was in better shape and really who would falter at the very end. Mentally, I think all the players were apt to being out there as long as you could possibly be. But it came down to the physical presence of how you could withstand the match.
And St. John, there's a great shot of you at 12-7. Your head is just in your hands for a long time, and you're just kind of walking around. And I notice as I'm watching this, the emotion you guys had back then. I felt like you guys were in battles, in wars. Is that how you were feeling?
Well, you know, it's funny. If you made one mistake, you knew that could have been the mistake that cost you the match. One mistake. So if I hit a ball out, or if I hit a ball, you know, and Karch blocked it, or Froey dug it, I knew that was bad news. You could get away with it early in the game. You get to 12-7 and you let that happen, it's all over. Because it's such a game of momentum And if you can't stop the other team, once they've scored a point at the end of the game, it's over.
Still down by 5. Smith-Stoklos trying to get back in it.
You got line! Yeah!
And the block is just out of bounds. Remember last week at Manhattan, same score, same situation. Smith-Stoklos down by 5 to Hovland and Dodd. They came all the way back and won the championship. Can they do it today? 3,000 miles away from Manhattan Beach. New setting, different opponent. We'll find out. Yes, sir. Smith looks like he's in skyball posture. He is. And we're going to see one, the first televised skyball of the summer. See how they handle it.
There it is. All right.
Chance for a point.
There. No one.
Smith. Smith cranks it. So the skyball leads directly to a point. And we're going to take a short time out. Smith and Stoklos go to a new weapon. They are within 4. St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos, they switch sides with a little momentum. Score is 12-8. Smith and Stoklos now back on the good side. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. Serving the floater directly into the wind. That's tight. That's trouble. And Stoklos' block just goes wide. Good hit by Frohoff. I think he hit it kind of up and out.
Well, hitting what we call the high flat shot. If you hit the ball with a downward trajectory, Randy's going to stuff the ball straight back at your feet. Brent hit that ball high up into his hands. A little bit lucky, got the deflection up and out of bounds for the side out.
Karai Frohoff by 4.
There. Nobody. Come on.
Down the line, right to Karai, but he cannot handle it. Too hot to handle. And St. John Smith will go back to serve. On the circuit since 1976. That's trouble. Karai and Frohoff collide. That's going to be another point.
Tough jump serve from St. John Smith deep up the middle. Karch passed the ball and then got tangled up with his partner, Brent Frohoff. No chance.
So just like last week at Manhattan, Smith and Stoklos trying to come back. Down 12-7. Then they scored a couple in a row. Down 12-7 here. They have scored 2 points in a row. Now it could be 3. And it is. No, not yet. Karai still there. Stoklos. And Frohoff can't get there.
Smith-Stoklos almost let that play get away. Randy had an overpass, didn't hit it, and then a couple of, here, you take it, I've got it. Randy waiting. Oh, you dream about oversets like that. And then I thought St. John was going to hit this ball. So did Karch. And then this play almost gets away from them here as the wind blows this ball 6 feet off the net. Brent can't quite make the save.
3 points in a row for Smith-Stoklos. Here they come charging. And Karai and Frohoff going to take a 20-second timeout. So each team has now used a 20. Both teams retain 3 20s and their 2 full timeouts. So things tightening up here in Rhode Island with the wind blowing. It's a 2-point game. Back at the Miller Lite Rhode Island Open, Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, Bill McDonald. It's turned into kind of a chilly day.
Tight set again.
Battling for the championship. Smith, Stoklos, Frohoff, and Karai. Smith and Stoklos have scored 3 straight points and are on the good side. Would you say they would have to get 13 on the good side to have a chance, Paul?
I was going to say they've got to change sides up 13-12 because then they would still be at a disadvantage going to the bad side in spite of the fact that they had the lead.
And Karai and Frohoff just trying to get to 13 first. Stoklos kabooms one right by Frohoff and past Karai.
Surprised that both Karai and Frohoff have gone away from the jump serve here. I think they're just trying to make sure they drive Randy deep, make St. John bump set the ball up into the wind.
Straight float serve, and that's trouble. And the ball set right out of bounds. The wind just took it, went out of Karai's hands and kept going. So another point, 4 in a row for Smith-Stoklos. And they're just doing it with a straight, hard, conventional float serve into the wind. 12-11. Chicken wing. And Karai gobbles it up.
Karch again chopping back across court. When he's set in the middle, he wants to pull the ball across his body. Play started with a nice cover. When you set the ball, you've got to be ready for it to come back, particularly when Randy Stoklos is blocking. Randy put his hands in the right direction, but his body went in the wrong direction. Karch chopping the ball.
And a marvelous reaction play on Karai, the chicken wing. Was used so successfully by Matt Gage when he was a player. Used to dig balls all the time like that. Great up by Stoklos, and Smith scores out of it. Beautiful play by Smith-Stoklos. They really have the rhythm now, and they are coming on.
St. John Smith doesn't miss a pass very often, but he did miss that one. Randy Stoklos kept his composure, dropped to a knee, and bump set the ball perfectly.
Smith. They'll try Karai one. And Karai down the line. Interestingly, you can hear Brent Frohoff. That was just a case of not listening to your partner. Brent Frohoff going angle, 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 and Karai shooting line where the defensive player was not.
And a good thing he did, because St. John Smith had listened to angle, 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 and was standing over there just licking his chops.
Takes teamwork, and Karai and Frohoff certainly have not played together, I mean, 1/8 as long as Smith-Stoklos. There's a good play. Chance for a point. Frohoff. Oh! Stoklos with a point saver.
Clutch block by Randy Stoklos. His third of the match, and none more important than right here. If Frohoff and Karai were able to score on the bad side, and with this swing, they would really have the advantage. Up potentially 13-12 as they go to the good side.
Smith-Stoklos down by 1. Our championship final. And inside goes Brent Frohoff. So Frohoff hanging tough. And we'll see if Frohoff goes with the straight float serve or jumps it up. Blocks relatively even. Karai has all the blocks on his team, and Stoklos has all the blocks on his team.
Karch with 5 still. Remember, we talked about him having 5 early on in the match. Still stuck there. Randy Stoklos with 3.
Frohoff will jump it. They'll go to Stoklos. Great jump serve, but Stoklos recovers and cuts it back. So Randy Stoklos with 2 marvelous athletic plays.
That's as good as it gets in pro beach volleyball. Tough conditions, aggressive jump serve, rip cross court. Randy completely stretched out. You don't have time to relax on the ground in pro beach volleyball.
Come on! Line! I got it! Come on,
chance for a point.
Line! Come on!
Frohoff has it.
Come on, turn now! There, nobody!
What a set by Randy Stoklos. Smith gets the kill, but Stokey gets the assist.
Talk about needing to be strong and big, blocking and hitting, but what about setting? Look at Randy Stoklos, the ball being blown back over his head, and he just jacks the ball up to the net. St. John Smith bounces it. Randy knows that was a great set, and so does his partner, St. John Smith.
We are tied at 12. 5 straight points for Smith and Stoklos. Karai and Frohoff have hit a lull. Great serve again. Frohoff wails it out of bounds. So 5 straight points. Now make it 6 straight points. And unbelievably, Smith and Stoklos have come all the way back, and the crowd likes it. We're going to 15. Can Smith and Stoklos claim this game? We'll find out when we come back. We may be headed for our first double final of the year. Smith-Stoklos 13, Frohoff and Karai 12. Frohoff and Karai have given up 6 straight points. Smith and Stoklos really coming on, playing well. It is a 1-point game as St. John Smith ready to send it up. He is in sky ball posture on the bad side.
We've been talking about it for several weeks, and I like to see it. Brent Frohoff settling in under.
He is. He's got to get it just a little deeper. Oh, another point. So Smith and Stoklos, 7 straight points. And Frohoff and Karai deep trouble. Remember, though, Frohoff and Karai can lose this game and still win the tournament.
St. John and Randy 1 point away, forcing that double final. Randy Stoklos, big stuff block at the net, and St. John Smith sending it up again.
Game point. Frohoff will take it. And down the hatch he goes. Brent Frohoff with a clutch kill to save the game.
Karch Kirai showing a lot of confidence in his young partner that time. One thing, when you send the ball up 100 feet over the court, obviously the receiving team has plenty of time to decide who's going to take that ball. The ball was to Karch's side, but he still called Brent over to pass the ball.
Kirai and Frohoff need to get a point. They've been on 12 for a while now. Not quite yet. Kirai blocked it, but went out of bounds. So Smith and Stoklos going to have their second chance at game point. Remember it. Smith-Stoklos win, there'll be one 7-point tiebreaker. Deep lob to Kirai.
You got angle.
Good set. Yes. And an easy kill. Set was off the net, giving Kirai an opportunity to take a good look.
St. John having to commit early on. The play they had, Randy's taking the cutback. We've talked about it, Karch's favorite shot, St. John in the angle. The one thing Karch has the ability to do is levitate and just roll the ball into the deep part of the court.
Frohoff will serve. Trailing by 2. They led by 5. Nobody up, and St. John Smith hitting the back set.
Nice play by both Stoklos and Smith. As soon as the ball was passed poorly, Karch immediately thought, should I pull back? Ball was set well, but 5 feet off the net. Give St. John Smith a lot of credit.
Third chance at game point. Smith will send it up once again, trying to get it a little deeper. That's a little better. And shank pass. Kirai saves him. Off the net. And we're still going. Kirai. Smith out of bounds. Smith so close. Just couldn't wheel it up. Pretty good rally.
St. John hustling, scrambling, staying on the ground and dinging a lot more balls in the last couple of weeks, playing great defense.
No, Frohoff looks like he had a little trouble passing that high ball.
Well, he did that last time.
Jump serving is this man's specialty. Let's see if he can get one in the clutch from the receiving angle. What's it like? No one can get there. St. John Smith with the beautiful little pokey.
Karch really upset at Brent Frohoff with that play. The ball set 50-50. And with the knuckler, you can't change the direction of the ball. St. John's only shot over the top of the block. Karch thinking Brent should have read that.
Fifth chance. Smith. Sending it way up there. Let's see if Frohoff handles it. Good pass. Blocked. That's it. So, things have become very interesting here at first base. Fans are up applauding. I'm not sure if they know that it's going to a double final.
So that's the end of game number 1. 15-12.
Yeah!
Stokey, St. John score 8 in a row.
How did we let
But not
that
just
happen?
8 in a row. It took 50 minutes, Stokey. I mean, you guys just cited out what seemed for hours.
Well, you know, looking back at it now, it really, it must have taken a little bit of the wind out of their sails. You know, even though that both teams were siding out very well, for us to come back the way we did, especially after learning that we had lost the losers bracket or the winners bracket final, and you know, they must have been chomping at the bit because they were very close on beating us at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, you give up 8 in a row, but it takes an hour. I mean, are you thinking, God, I let that slip away? Or are you thinking, let's go?
I'm thinking, man, I blew it, and my partner's not talking to me. And I better go out there and make something happen this next game.
How about when Karch would go up the block, St. John would shoot over him, and then he would just turn and go, go!
And I wouldn't.
And you would just stay there.
I'd be like, why didn't he just hit it right to me? Yeah. Do I have to run and go? Do I have to run and go get that?
Everybody exerted their partners to go and move as
That's what I loved about it, the emotion.
No, you could yell
because
as loud
we
as
were
you wanted
literally, it wasn't even so much that we were exerting our partners, we were begging our partners to move because all we needed is a point. You know, St. John brought up a key point, and that is that, you know, this game is played the same way it was back then, and that is that points are scored in bunches. So when you would give up that point, you knew maybe there's a possibility to throw in a run of them.
Yeah.
And so that's where really everybody thought about, you know, staying on their game and not giving up that point.
And now we're going to a double final for the first time. This was kind of a new format. They're playing up to 7. You got to win by 1. What are the pressures going into that game?
You know, first we had to get to that game.
Yeah.
But we knew once.
But now you're here.
Once you get to that game, it's anybody's game. Anybody's game.
Pressure maybe goes back to them.
And in this kind of wind, Well, I think at that point, yeah, the pressure would be on them losing and being in a great position and then giving it up. But I don't know. I think the pressure was equally on us because people expected us to win too, you know. So I don't know if there's any more pressure on them necessarily than us. We didn't want to lose. It would be embarrassing. Now we have an opportunity at 0-0. We're playing to 7. You know, it's...
So, yeah, in between games, now that you've lost the first game, do you have to change your flight? Back in those days,
Can't worry about that
I've got to
later.
get to the airport.
Back in those days, it was so easy to travel. You could just forge your own doctor's note and hand it to the person at the front
You
desk.
didn't even have to fly on your own ticket. Guys would switch tickets, and Hanley would use mine, and I'd use his.
So Hanley would be like, Karch, I'm leaving, and
Just
you would
a little different than post 9/11.
We'll be back after this short timeout. You're watching the 1989 Rhode Island Open on AVP Classics.
Back at the Miller Lite Rhode Island Open, Smith-Stoklos defeating Frohoff and Karai. We now go to our final game, 1-7. You win by 1. One of the factors in that first game, the sky ball of St. John Smith caused some problems for Frohoff Karai. Right to Stoklos. He bombs it, but Karai has it, but can't recover it. So St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos, Paul Sunderland talked about their comeback. How great was their comeback in the first game? They were down 12-7. They scored 8 straight points. Outscored Karai and Frohoff 8-0 to win that game. Quite a comeback.
And obviously 2-3 of those coming on the bad side. The wind has died a little bit, and they've drawn first blood here in our game to 7 from the bad side. St. John staying with the sky ball.
Frohoff turning the ball inside. Strategy-wise, why would Frohoff be accepting the sky ball instead of Karai?
Maybe Karch a little bit stronger, a little more confident setting the ball up into the wind. Brent passes the ball low. I think that's the decision because between the two, Karch is the stronger spiker against the blocker, Randy Stoklos.
Frohoff, his team trailing 1-0.
There. Line. Angle. Come on, Brett.
Frohoff has this one. Should be a point.
There it is.
Back set. And hit out of bounds. So Frohoff and Karai having trouble scoring points now. That was a point opportunity that got away.
And they're in a big deficit here. Again, only have to win by 1. The game will go by quickly. That was a chance to score from the good side. We're going to change every multiple of 2 points. Smith-Stoklos have already scored, as I said, from the bad side.
Stoklos' block goes out of bounds. They say in tennis, when you're in the tiebreaker, you must hold your serve. Well, particularly important in beach volleyball when you're playing this little tiebreaker. Make sure you get a point or 2 on the good side. You don't really hold serve in volleyball. You side out or get possession, but you need to score when you're on the bad side.
There.
Make that the good side.
Come on.
Ball is blocked. Smith using his hands and off. Frohoff into the cheap seats here in Rhode Island. Actually, all the seats are cheap because there is no admission to beach volleyball as of yet. Think that'll happen one day, Paul?
I do. I'm quite convinced of it. If the game is going to go continually higher and higher, I think you'll see pro beach events in tennis stadiums and places like that where people will have to pay to get in, and the prize money will continue to get larger and larger. I don't think you'll see it at all the tour stops, but I think you'll see some special events done in stadiums where there will be attendance paid.
Little line fixing. And St. John Smith get ready to send it up. There it is. And that is a great sky ball, but just a little too deep. You want to get it right on the back line, Paul. Smith has an interesting one. He doesn't really use a rotation, a spin serve. He tries to hit it up and make it wobble, more like a knuckleball.
A knuckle sky ball. And as the receiver, when it's right on the back line, you're literally feeling around with your foot for the line to figure out where you are.
And the ball jump serve just out of bounds. Karai thought it was an ace, but it was not.
In this breeze, even our brightly colored ropes there you can see over the shoulder of Brent Frohoff sometimes do dance around in the wind a little bit. That ball called just out of bounds.
And Frohoff and Karai, the ball goes in between them. And so 2 quick points for St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos.
Don't go anywhere. 1989 Rhode Island Open continues after this short timeout.
Trailing 0-2, Frohoff and Karai, and Frohoff moving back into jump serve posture. Let's see what he can do with it. Needs a point. They'll go to Stoklos. Little dink. Karai has it. You're allowed to hit it twice off the block. Smith, Stoklos, still going. Karai, oh, what a dig by Smith, and Stoklos can't get there, but not without an effort.
Randy's still going.
And what hustle.
St. John and Randy know they're in a unique position, having come back through the loser's bracket. And if that's not giving it your all, I don't know what is.
You don't see the players go over the barriers very often, but this is a key point and a key rally.
Players completely stretched out, and St. John keeping this ball in deep. Karch taking the free ball, and the rest is up to Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith. Randy fakes the block, and St. John with a good dig off his chest. But Randy into the barrier, over the barrier, and now he's just trying not to kill somebody right here.
And if you're a fan, you got to be saying, get me out of the way. Here comes the big Buffalo fella.
Well, Randy found a soft place to land.
That was a point for Frohoff and Karai. 2-1. Over the net. Karai has it and takes it down. So a mistake by St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos, and we are tied at 2.
Now I know it's a great game, but I want to talk about your look, your personal look, the fashion in 1989. Froey, the flipped up spot sport.
It was solid, wasn't it?
It was solid.
It was solid. I still got friends digging those visors out and flipping them up to this.
Still have them in the garage?
I don't think I have any personally, but I'll buy one from anybody who's got one.
Then St. John.
I remember the poster from that year. You had a great look with the silver glasses.
Hitting a ball past Hovland, I think.
Hitting a ball past the Hov. The spot sport thing was just flowing that year.
It was taking off the day glow and the short shorts. And
that was
exactly. And St. John with the side out gear, the flipped up cap. I mean, did you go into a tournament saying, I got to look good?
No, you know, it wasn't about looking good at that time. I mean, obviously we wanted cool shorts, you know, and what was cool then obviously isn't cool now, but and the colors and everything. Yeah. They were very short and they were pretty tight.
I call those nutters.
Yeah. But the hat thing came because I wanted to expose my sponsor at the time, and the only way at the time was on the shorts, so I got, you know, a bicycle cap or a painting cap is what it was at the time, and I put the logo here and here and here.
You got that idea from me.
Did you get that from you, Froey?
Yeah.
Who was the first to flip it up?
Who was the first to flip it up? We got to go back and check the record.
When you look at these games and do you go with your kids, God, I look good?
I know.
We never a Halloween costume now. I mean, people dress up like you guys. You kind of feel good about that.
You know, there were a lot of good-looking guys back then playing the game for some reason.
And you were one of them, Stokely.
And you know, what I remember about it is that there was definitely a sex appeal that we brought to the beach, which not only as athletes, you know, brought a lot to the plate, but you know. It was the same old thing. Guys came down to see the girls, and girls came down to see the guys, and that really elevated the sport into an area that it hadn't been in the past.
You know, we all started playing before money, and the reason why we played is, one, we saw these, what we considered to be gods back in the day in the 70s, playing this game, surrounded, with the court surrounded by thousands of people watching. Now, on the other side of Sepulveda, nobody knew who they were. Yeah. But anyone in these beach communities knew who these guys were. And guess what?
Legends.
They always got the girl. They always got the girl. And did that ever cross our minds when we were growing up? And if we were going to play, and what would happen if we actually won a tournament? We'd have the, you know, pick of course it crossed our minds. Maybe.
Well, right now you guys are in a game to 7, win by 1 situation. Stick around because something special is going to come up. We're going to have to debate it.
Still plenty more action to come from the 1989 Rhode Island Final, so stick around.
Karai using the float serve to Stoklos this time.
Angle.
Tight. And the pull down knuckle Kong.
The pull down knuckle Kong off a great pass from St. John Smith. Right on top of the net, Randy had his choice of where to hit the ball.
Stoklos talking to Smith, and whatever he said, let's see what Smith does this time. Still talking to him, and now back to his blocking position. Trying to get the ball to Karai this time on the sky ball. Excuse me. And this may work. Chance for a point. Smith gets it. So the sky ball, they got it over to Karai, and the question was answered. Would Karai move over and let Frohoff have it? He did not.
Karch took the serve. St. John, nice read behind the blocker. Randy Stoklos, little knuckler from Karch. Easy transition play. And again, St. John, again and again, going to the roll shot over the block to score.
5-4. And this time, Frohoff will get it. Blocked. Karai is there. And it's Doug. Chance for a point. Stoklos can put it away. Not yet. Karch on the right.
Again, set the ball.
Hot potato. Frohoff still has it. Frohoff puts it away.
Was that an important point, Chris? You bet. That would have taken Smith Stoklos to game point. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Brent completely fooled the line wide open. Tape shot creates the opportunity for Frohoff and Karai to get the side out. And St. John knows right now that would have taken us to game point.
And Randy Stoklos probably thinking, if I hit that ball anywhere on about 450 square feet, Frohoff having a big game, as you can see, that would have gone down anywhere but right on the tape. Bounce right to Frohoff. Stoklos inside the block. 5-4. Frohoff and Karai lead.
Come on, help me. You're good.
Good knuckler.
Nobody.
The play made by the knuckler that you pointed out, Chris. Try that sometime in your living room. Tremendous play by Brent Frohoff, knuckle-free ball.
One factor for perhaps serving Karai some of the time is that Karai is a much better caller of the block than Frohoff. Crowd is not left. They are sticking with us, which just means Karai calls it a little more accurately where to go. And one mistake on a call could cost you the tournament money. Karai inside. And there was contact underneath. Smith is claiming he was interfered with, but I don't think it's going to hold water. And I believe the score is 5-5. Is it not, Paul?
The score is 5-5. Watch for the collision underneath the net. Karch blocking. St. John actually came under a little bit, it looked like, and their legs get caught up right there, and St. John goes down. That's what he's arguing about right there, that the contact under the net caused him to go down and could not get into defensive position. But it looked like, actually, that if there was contact, St. John had come under.
5-5 is the correct score. Karai and Frohoff now on the bad side.
There.
Smith.
Line, go. Go.
Got to come over. Karai touched it. Stoklos.
Line.
Blocked by Karai. Now Karai and Frohoff just 1 point away. Smith and Stoklos, will they use one of their timeouts here? They have one sand and one regular. Championship point of the Miller Lite Rhode Island Open.
Ball's good. There.
Rolls the line. St. John Smith with the rainbow that finds the pot of gold.
The wind's been causing us problems all day long, but without the wind, that ball's 6 feet out of bounds. Championship point number 1, saved by Smith Stoklos.
Changing on multiples of 2, so Smith Stoklos, remember, we're playing just to 7, win by 1.
What?
And if St. John and Randy score here,
switch back.
Immediately switch sides.
We're back on the bad side. Want to end on that bad side or make it on the good side. Oh, Stoklos back at you. 6-6. Going to 7. 1 point will do it. It's not over. One more point. The team that scores the next point will win.
We'll be back after this short timeout. You're watching the 1989 Rhode Island Open on AVP Classics. AVP Classics. You're watching the 1989 Rhode Island Open. Let's Go back to Chris Marlowe and Paul Sunderland with the call.
This is the first time we've used this double final format this year on the Pro Beach Tour. I think the players are experiencing this pressure cooker for the first time in their entire careers.
Fourth championship point. Smith Stoklos. Frohoff. Down the line goes Frohoff.
14 kills for Brent Frohoff. Doing a tremendous job hitting the ball.
Karai doing most of the setting. How many kills does he have, Paul?
Karch Kirai, 5 kills so far, 1 stuff block.
Fourth championship point for Karai and Frohoff.
Going back to Stoklos.
Oh, what a dig by Frohoff. Can Karai get there? Yes. And it's over. Oh, wait. 4 contacts called by referee Ed Winchester. Oh, my gosh. There is going to be some controversy on this one.
Karch is livid.
Ed Winchester saying that Karch Karai touched the ball on the block. Boy, really tough to tell. Ball going about 110 miles per hour.
Stoklos advantage. Stoklos.
Does Karch Kirai touch this ball? That's the question. Or does it hit the top of the tape? I don't see a touch. Very difficult to tell, but I don't see a touch.
All right, 6-6. We just saw an unbelievable play. Stokey hammers it by Karch Karai. You make, I don't know what kind of dig that was.
It was
flawless.
Lucky.
Karch, you go under it. You set it instead of attack it over. Froey puts it away down the line. Game over. Marlowe screaming. You're hugging. But Ed Winchester, the referee, makes a call, calls a touch on you, 4 contacts, side out, Stokey Smith. 17 years later, you're amongst friends and family. Did you touch the ball?
The ball went by me. What am I going to do? As Froey said, that might have been the first ball that he dug that game. I'm going to set him and put it away, and we're going to win the tournament.
Because if you touched it, you would have done what?
I would have put it over. You're only allowed 3 touches on the block.
Stokey, what do you think?
Well, that is, this is the point that we contend that there was a different outcome. And if you look at the tape, if you look at the tape, you can even see myself pointing at Karch and saying that you touched the ball.
In the middle of the play, you're saying this?
Heard a touch, and we backed up off the net. Now, Frohoff made a great dig. It was one of the best digs maybe ever. And not only did I come with everything that I had at that moment, and I wasn't going to dink the ball
with
at that
beautiful
point.
Hand set. Beautiful.
How did St. John set it?
The ball came up.
I still have the mark on my
perfectly. But also, St. John kind of stayed at the net because Karch, the ball came up a million miles in the air right toward the net, but Karch kind of stumbled and fell to his knees. And then I don't think Karch really had the opportunity to do anything except for bump the ball straight up and down. And immediately when Frohoff hit the ball, was called the 4th hit.
As players on that court, we know what's going on the court better than anyone else. I mean, the slightest little tick or something that happens, we hear it. The general public doesn't hear it. I felt like I heard something. I don't know if it was him touching the ball. I don't know if it was, you know,
it could have been
Randy jumping and clicking his ankles. You know,
it could have been the shell releasing from the gun.
No. But let me interrupt. Ed Winchester, referee. Some say he never reffed again after 1989.
I remember the very first event of that year, Fort Myers.
Karch, yeah, I'm asking you, did Ed Winchester ever ref again?
He had a horrible year from start to finish. And from Fort Myers with John Hanley and John Stevenson, I think he called 3 red cards on John Stevenson, who never got a red card, and maybe get 1.
You know what? My impression of Ed throughout that year, even though Karch said he had a horrible year, is he didn't back down ever.
He didn't.
He made the call he thought was the right call, and I think he did it in a way where I didn't feel like he was, you know, for one team or the other, but he wasn't afraid to make the call. At that time, a lot of the referees were very close to the players, and they were afraid to make certain calls against certain people. He was not.
Well, let's see where it leads. We're at 6-6.
That play is over. 6-6. Championship point number 5 for Smith Stoklos. And that's it. And so Smith and Stoklos, and Karai is so unhappy, he pulls down the same time, and he is livid. He is out of his mind with anger. The competitive nature of Karch Karai comes out. And that's the end of the Rhode Island Open.
With an exclamation point. One of the most incredible endings to a match I've ever seen. Unbelievable controversial call against Karch Karai, and in frustration just rips down the equipment at the end of the match.
Well, that is it. 7-6 right after the controversial call. Froe roofed by Stokey, 7-6. But the Karch, the net, the ripping down, have we ever seen anything like that? Were you thinking I'm going to pull this whole thing down?
My object was not to make the equipment go flat onto the sand.
Well, it did.
But I certainly didn't mind seeing the referee surfing that pull down. I talked to the ops guys, the staff, later, and the net, the cables at top and bottom, all four sides are attached by S-hooks, those thick ones that you'll find in any hardware store. They said I straightened all four of those S-hooks turned into I-hooks.
Yeah, but St. John and Stokey, you guys are celebrating. This whole net system falls. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking game over.
But were you like, what happened?
About the net? No. Yeah. You know what? We all know. If something happened, if I was called a bad call, which, you know, it's happened to all of us, I'd be really edgy. I'd be very upset. Would I pull the net down? I wouldn't intentionally. I don't think Karch intentionally pulled the net down, but he sure...
With Herculean strength.
Herculean strength, and I loved it. How many people talked to you about that, Stokey, after it happened? Like, hey, did Karch rip
Well, I have to say, it definitely, as much it might have been a negative for Karch, it was a positive for the tour and the sport, because it made people be aware of really the intensity of what was going on.
And now the drive home to the airport. The drive to the airport. Tell me about that, just really quick.
The drive to the airport with my wife Jana was Steve Timmons, and maybe with his wife Jeannie. I don't know if she was there. Was
not a lot of talk going on?
Was the quietest drive I've ever had in my life, and they've ever had in their life. Jana was not about to say a word. Steve Timmons was not about to say a word. Not one word was uttered from the time we closed the doors to the time we gave the car back to the rental company.
How pissed are you still?
He's still waiting for his check.
I mean, him pulling down the net proves that he didn't touch it. I mean,
and you don't get a chance very often to beat Smith Stokey at the time.
Not very often at all. So it still stings.
Still stings, doesn't it?
What were you doing though when Karch was doing all this stuff? I can't remember. Were you just standing there?
I was just going. You know, he pulled it down, and I thought he was going to go after the ref at that point.
Yeah. And you're like, go ahead.
I was like, please don't do it. You know, Karch in prison. I'm out of partner. This would not be good for Froe.
Not be good.
I think everybody's had tough calls, but I don't think I've ever had, except that one time, a call where you think you've won, and the call is dramatic, made, and the very next play you've lost. To go from winning to losing in 15 seconds, I don't think I've ever seen that. There are bad calls that always go against teams. There are breaks that you get, but it was just at that point, at that time, 6-all. Every serve is tournament point.
Yeah.
One team, then the other team. It was a hard one to swallow.
And there was a buildup. There was a number of point opportunities that those guys could have scored and really changed the match in a big way. But I think that was a little bit of a frustration building up, and needless to say, it really happened at the very end where the frustration showed.
Now, I want to thank you for Legends for stopping by. Not only a legendary match, but to have you guys here, phenomenal. A classic match, not only for the volleyball, but for what happened after. We talked about for the rest of the time.
Championship point number 5 for Smith Stoklos. And that's it. And so Smith and Stoklos, and Karai is so unhappy, he pulls down the net and the referee at the same time, and he is livid. He is out of his mind with anger. The competitive nature of Karch Karai comes out. And that's the end of the Rhode Island Open.
With an exclamation point. One of the most incredible endings to a match I've ever seen.